Welcome to the CIO Success Series, Part 3, Leadership and Influencing. My name is Peter Irish. I'm the president of Focal Point Business Coaching of Northern California. Together with my colleagues, I'll be your guide on this series. Here we use the term CIO in its broadest sense for anyone who is fundamentally responsible for a company's IT strategy, spend, and operations. In Part 1 of this series, we spent some time painting the broad CIO landscape. In Part 2A, we expanded on how CIOs measure and view performance. Part 2B looked into the subject of cost management. Today's focus will be on leadership and influencing. In the course of our sessions, we will refer to several major CIO studies in 2015 and 2016 simply as Study 1, Study 2, etc. Please visit our website for details and sources. Let's begin by making sure we have a similar understanding of what constitutes influencing and leadership. A common dictionary definition of influence might be the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. Another source adds that there are multiple possible outcomes from an attempt to influence: commitment, compliance, or resistance. We have all seen efforts to influence fail and produce cheerful or perhaps sullen compliance, or worse, dogged resistance. So actually, the attempt to influence is precarious, as it can have negative as well as positive outcomes. But what about CIOs? How fit are they for influencing? Vivek Agarwal, one long-term mentor at a leading computer chip manufacturer, has this to say.
Having expertise in functional area makes a difference in the influencing skills to a certain extent. For example, in sales, the influencing skill is exercised often to make a sale. Over time, just like muscle in the body would, the muscle strengthens through exercise. The salespeople exercise their influencing skills, and hence they become stronger. The influencing skills become stronger over time. The IT environment does not lend to a regular use of these influencing skills on a day-to-day basis. So what happens as a result is the opportunity to exercise this influencing is less, and we start to see a difference in the degree in which these skills are exercised in IT versus in the other area that I was mentioning.
CIOs seem to agree with Vivek's assessment as they summarize the following as their weakest performance areas according to Study 2. The ability to influence internal stakeholders, attracting, retaining, and motivating talent, and technology vision and leadership. In our own Focal Point Business Coaching literature, Brian Tracy talks about the leadership side of the equation, saying that the following are the 7 sources of stress for leaders under the heading of the enemy within. Worry, lack of meaning, the incomplete action, fear of failure, fear of rejection, denial, anger. Mastering these components and exhibiting grace under pressure is part of what makes a good leader great. Beyond that, having coherent values, as well as a clear vision, mission, purpose, and goals, and communicating these consistently and persuasively also adds to the allure of the successful leader. People readily follow a person with a good plan and the ability to explain it. And there are many other factors that enter into great leadership, such as the ability to listen attentively, the willingness to take responsibility, strong planning and execution skills, and perhaps a bit of risk-taking. So if that's the general recipe for leadership, and if influencing is one of its key ingredients, then how can a CIO obtain some clear input on his or her skill in this area and improve influencing skills? You might want to pause at this moment and reflect. If you asked people in your company about your skill as a leader, what would they say? What about influencing skills? Are you an effective influencer? How would you go about finding out and then improving your skills? Here's what Jim Sackman, a former CTO in the Bay Area, has to say on this question.
To me, the best way to get to an assessment is to have a 360 review conducted by a third party. If you want to know what people think, then ask them in a confidential manner. Areas of weaknesses can then be addressed by skills development with partner organizations that are appropriate.
Overwhelmingly, respondents to Study 2 reported that they would be more effective in their roles if they reported to the CEO. Many of them do not, however, with the reporting lines leading into the CFO, the COO, and to some extent functional unit heads. As a result, they must influence their peers and colleagues instead of issuing commands. While respondents to Study 2 highlighted CFOs and COOs as some of their most important internal stakeholders, only one-third reported strong relationships to the sales and marketing departments. Jim Sackman also stressed the inherent advantage these latter functions have vis-a-vis influencing.
Sales and marketing folks build their careers around influence. That is how they sell and market every day. This provides them with a greater degree of experience in many situations that helps them inside the organization as much as it does without. IT has technology needs that are outside the ability of most executives to debate. This means that IT does not often ask for input, problem one, or get asked for input, problem two, when it comes to challenges and changes within the firm. This leads to a barrier of understanding and thus isolates CIOs from the rest of the organization.
Perhaps that is why Study 3 underlined the role of the business's accountability for the effectiveness of IT spend. In other words, sales, marketing, the CEO, and other business owners must also bear some responsibility for making sure that IT projects are implemented and deliver as promised. Some 45% of respondents cited this as the most important lever in improving IT performance. We believe this goes right to the heart of influencing and leadership. Better leaders in the IT role who can listen well, craft a compelling vision of how technology can accelerate business development, and communicate this vision in a persuasive fashion to the right audiences will naturally have more influence. Let's pause for a moment. As a CIO, how well are you doing this now? Rate yourself on the following: good listening skills, compelling vision, clear business benefit from IT, persuasive communication, addressing the right audience. How did you do? Perhaps you could do better. Maybe an outside perspective could help you hone your skills. Now let's consider whether the CIO has inherently any advantages over his or her fast-talking sales and marketing colleagues, or is it necessarily a losing game? We asked both Jim Sackman and Vivek Agarwal the following question. Can you imagine ways that a CIO might actually leverage technical competence to be even more influential than managers from other functions? And if so, how would you see this unfolding?
How I see CIOs becoming more influential is that they need to study the business that the company is in. Then they need to evaluate two things: what the current competitors are doing and how IT functionality can change the competitive landscape. Think about Uber. Uber is essentially an IT function that allowed for a new form of business model. There was nothing that prevented taxi cab companies from doing many of the same things as Uber did. They could have had an online application with location, services, and ordering. But they did not think about how crowdsourcing was impacting other industries and were taken unaware. The IT function is in a position to know what trends are progressing in the IT world, but most CIOs are not viewed as experts in what the company does, so they miss the opportunity to put the company ahead of the curve.
Vivek had this to contribute.
Sometimes the CIOs can be very influential, more influential than other managers. I have personally witnessed it when we were organizing and reorganizing our marketing and customer support effort. One of the key components of the customer support is the experience the customers get as they buy the product and get serviced for an issue they might have with the product. If the company's IT infrastructure is not conducive to positive user experience, the marketing sales efforts get impacted. Our CIO and the IT team played a substantial role and influenced the way we structured our user interface for our customers. The CIO plays a critical role and hence influence the company's direction when it comes to CRM and customer support tools. The marketing engineering teams become secondary to CIOs in that situation.
So apparently it is possible for CIOs to be influential leaders. Beyond the leadership and influencing skills we have addressed above, they must keenly understand their own businesses, the competitive landscape, probable future technological disruptions, and find a way to deliver persuasive business benefits. And that will be the theme of our next contribution, Focus on Business Strategy. This is Peter Irish saying thank you on behalf of Focal Point Business Coaching of Northern California and my colleagues and inviting you to sign up for our webinars at www.norcalbusinesscoaching.com. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye for now.